My name's Elaine Rivers. I'm 63, and I thought I'd finally mastered the art of quiet living, black coffee, a small garden, and no more drama. That was until my daughter Lydia called one Thursday morning. Her voice was too careful, like someone reading from a script. "Mom," she said, "we might have to cancel the Bahamas trip. Things just got complicated." Complicated. That word has covered 1,000 of her half-truths. I remember staring at the glossy brochure still pinned to my fridge, the one I paid for, the turquoise water, the resort logo at the bottom right corner. My name was on every booking, every receipt, every confirmation email. I asked her, "Complicated how?" She hesitated. "Noah's mom isn't feeling well. We think it's best if we, postpone everything." My heart didn't drop. It froze, like it always does when something doesn't add up. 2 hours later, I got a cheerful voicemail from Gloria, Noah's mother. "Elaine, I just wanted to thank you for giving up your spot so we could all go together. I promise I'll take good care of your room." My spot. I replayed that message twice, the kind of calm fury rising only mothers over 60 can manage. Not the kind that shouts, but the kind that plans. By dinner, I had already pulled out my laptop, logged into my travel account, and started clicking cancel reservation. If Lydia wanted to play games, she'd just chosen the wrong opponent. I didn't explode. I didn't even raise my voice. When you've lived long enough, you learn that silence carries more weight than yelling ever could. Instead, I brewed a pot of chamomile tea, the one I keep for nights when my thoughts won't sit still, and I sat at the kitchen table. The steam curled in front of my face while I opened my laptop. My email was a museum of receipts, every one of them with my name shining in bold. Elaine Rivers, primary guest, card ending in 2641, flights, hotel, rental car, private tour, dinner on the beach, all still active. Not one marked as canceled. I clicked the resort link first. Coral Bay Resort, Nassau. I knew the number by heart. When the receptionist picked up, she sounded young, cheerful, and blissfully unaware she was about to ruin someone's weekend. "Good afternoon, Coral Bay. How may I assist you?" "Yes." "Hi," I said. Steady as stone. "This is Elaine Rivers. I'm calling to confirm a reservation for this Saturday." "Of course, Ms. Rivers. Let's see. Oh yes, we're looking forward to hosting your party of 4. My fingers tightened around the mug. "Could you remind me of the names on that reservation?" She paused for a beat too long. "Sure. Lydia Dawson, Noah Lane, Gloria Lane. And that's it, ma'am." That's it. The words rang through the quiet kitchen. I didn't correct her. I didn't explain that I was the one who paid for those rooms. I just thanked her politely and hung up. The microwave door across from me reflected my face, lined, calm, deliberate. I wasn't surprised. Disappointment like this doesn't shock you anymore at 63. It simply settles in like old dust. I spent the next hour moving through tabs like a surgeon. Cancel, refund, verify, confirm, the resort, the excursions, the catamaran. Even the romantic dinner I'd booked out of habit, because mothers do that, even when they shouldn't. Each click felt cleaner than the last, like exhaling something stale. Then came the bigger move. The emergency fund, Lydia and I opened it years ago just in case of car trouble, in case of layoffs, in case life got messy. But somewhere along the way, the emergencies had stopped being random. They had become her lifestyle. Rent short this month. Credit card maxed. "Can you just cover it until payday? Mom?" I logged into the account. The balance blinked back at me. Comfortable, familiar, funded mostly by me. I transferred every dollar into my personal savings, clicked close account, and leaned back in my chair. No fireworks, no guilt, just the quiet click of finality. Around dinner time, my phone buzzed. Lydia's name lit up the screen. I answered, keeping my tone light. "Hi, sweetheart? Hey, Mom, how was your day?" "Productive," I said. "I did a little cleaning up." She laughed. "You and your spring cleaning. It's March." "Mom." "Yes," I said softly. "Feels like spring." We chatted for another minute about nothing. Weather, groceries, her wedding plans. She had no idea her financial safety net had just vanished into thin air. That night, I slept better than I had in weeks. The air felt lighter, my chest unburdened. Saturday came, and so did the call. "Mom!" Her voice cracked through the line. "The hotel says our booking was canceled. They said the payments were reversed. What's happening?" Behind her, I could hear chaos. Voices arguing, waves in the background, someone saying, "Try calling them again." That would be Gloria. Undoubtedly. "Really?" I said, feigning confusion. "That's odd. I thought the trip was postponed." "Mom, this isn't funny. We're standing here with luggage and no room." I took a slow breath. "Oh, honey, I'm sure you'll figure something out. You always do." The silence that followed was heavy. Then the line went dead. I set the phone down and just listened to the refrigerator hum, to the birds outside, to the sound of my own calm heartbeat. It wasn't revenge, not really. It was balance. Long overdue. For decades, Lydia had built her life assuming I'd always be the safety net, the fixer, the woman who would rearrange her own needs to patch someone else's mistakes. I used to call that love. Now, I'm not sure it was anything but fear. Fear of being the mother who said no. That afternoon, I opened my laptop again. Old habits die hard. My cursor hovered over New Search. For a brief second, I almost typed Bahamas refund policy. Instead, I typed solo trips for women over 60. Dozens of results appeared. Pictures of coastlines and cliffs, of women standing alone in wide sun hats, smiling like they'd just remembered who they were. I scrolled until one photo made me stop. White rooftops stacked over a blue sea, Santorini. I'd seen it 1,000 times on postcards, but this time it looked like an invitation. The reviews called it a sanctuary for quiet souls. That sounded about right. I booked it. One ticket, one villa, no shared rooms, no group chats, no fake apologies. When the confirmation email hit my inbox, I smiled. The world didn't collapse. The sky didn't fall. It just got wider. I spent the evening folding linen dresses into my suitcase. Every soft rustle of fabric felt like a small rebellion. For once, I wasn't preparing to care for anyone else. By the time I zipped the suitcase shut, the anger had drained away completely. What remained was something steadier, cleaner. Resolve. Let them call me heartless. Let them think I'd lost my mind. They'd never understand what it means to reclaim your peace after decades of giving it away. That night, I poured a single glass of wine, raised it to the quiet house, and whispered to boundaries. And for the first time in a long while, the toast didn't feel lonely. It felt right. The airport was quieter than I expected for a Tuesday morning. Maybe it just felt that way because my mind was louder than usual. I sat by the window, sipping burnt coffee, watching planes roll away into the clouds like clean escapes. For the first time in years, I was traveling for myself. No family reunion, no babysitting, no guilt-ridden invitations I couldn't say no to. Just me, a suitcase, and a one-way ticket to somewhere no one needed me. When the plane touched down in Santorini, I almost laughed at the contrast. While Lydia was probably arguing with a hotel manager in the Bahamas, I was stepping into a postcard. The air smelled like salt and lemons. The sea below looked like liquid glass. My villa was perched high on a cliff, small but perfect. The host showed me the balcony, the infinity pool, and the view, White rooftops spilling down the hill like dominoes. "It's peaceful here," he said. I smiled. That's the point. The first day, I didn't do much. I unpacked, took a walk, ate grilled fish that melted on my tongue. I sat at a cafe overlooking the water, listening to people speak in languages I couldn't understand, which somehow felt comforting. Then my phone buzzed. I didn't check it right away. I watched the screen light up, go dark, then light again. Lydia. By the fourth missed call, I gave in. "Mom," she said, voice thick with frustration. "You canceled everything. We're stuck in a rental room that smells like bleach, and Gloria's furious. Why would you do that?" I stirred my coffee slowly. "You said the trip was postponed. I just made sure it was. That's not funny. Mom, you embarrassed us. Do you have any idea how we looked when the hotel said the payments were reversed?" "Sweetheart," I said quietly, "you embarrassed yourself. You lied to me." The silence on her end stretched long enough for me to hear the wind push against the cafe umbrellas. Then came the tears, angry ones. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she said. "We just thought it would be easier if I wasn't there." She didn't answer. I didn't need her to. "Lydia," I said, "you're 31 years old. You don't get to rewrite the rules when they stop working for you. You wanted independence. Well, this is what it feels like." She hung up. I set the phone down, heart heavy but steady. My coffee had gone cold. The waitress came over and asked if I wanted another. I said yes. That evening, I sat on the balcony, watching the sky turn from gold to violet. The island lights blinked one by one, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel responsible for anyone's peace but my own. The next morning, I received a text from Gloria. "Elaine, I understand you're upset, but this was very childish of you. Lydia's young, she made a mistake. We all do." I smiled. There it was, the polite condescension of women who think empathy is hierarchy. "You're right," I replied. "We all make mistakes. I'm just finally learning not to pay for other people's—" I never got a response. The rest of the week unfolded like a quiet confession. I read on the beach, walked barefoot through narrow streets, bought a cheap hat I didn't need. Every small thing felt intentional, but guilt is stubborn. It doesn't disappear just because you book a flight away from it. Sometimes, at night, I caught myself wondering if I'd gone too far. Maybe I should have called, explained, softened the blow. Maybe I was becoming the kind of mother people whisper about, the cold one. Then I remembered that voicemail. "Thank you for giving up your spot." And the guilt faded like low tide. By the third day, the call stopped. No Lydia. No Gloria. Just peace. The silence wasn't empty. It was full. Full of all the things I'd never made space for. Stillness, curiosity, my own damn thoughts. On the fourth morning, I joined a small tour around the island. The guide, a gray-haired man with sunspots on his hands, asked where I was from. "Seattle," I said. "Ah," he smiled. "Rain and coffee. Here, we trade that for sun and wine." I laughed, really laughed. It startled me. The sound felt strange, rusty but real. Later, standing at the edge of the caldera, wind whipping my hair, I thought about how different this moment was from the one Lydia was probably living. She was learning what happens when comfort vanishes. I was learning what happens when you finally stop apologizing for needing space. That night, I wrote in my journal, something I hadn't done since my husband died. This isn't punishment. It's a pause. Maybe she'll grow from it. Maybe I will too. I closed the notebook and watched the moon float above the water. For once, the ache I felt wasn't loneliness. It was clarity. The next morning, my phone buzzed again. One message. I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't reply. Not yet. Some lessons need quiet to settle. Instead, I slipped my phone into my bag, stepped out onto the terrace, and ordered breakfast: Greek yogurt, honey, fresh figs. The waiter smiled when he set the tray down. Traveling alone? He asked. Yes, I said, and this time I meant it proudly. On purpose? He nodded, pouring my coffee. Best way to travel. I raised the cup, feeling the warmth seep through my palms, and for the first time, I realized I wasn't running from anyone. I was walking toward myself. When I came back to Seattle, the air felt heavier, thicker, with the kind of cold only home can give you. The house was the same, plants still thriving, mail piled on the counter, but I wasn't. I'd left something behind in Santorini, or maybe I'd found something and brought it back. Either way, I knew I couldn't return to the version of myself who tiptoed around her own daughter. 2 days after I landed, Lydia showed up at my door. She didn't call first. She never did. When I opened it, she looked tired, tanned but worn. Her eyes puffy like she hadn't slept much. For a brief moment, I saw the little girl she used to be, standing at my bedroom door after a nightmare. It made the next part harder. Can we talk? She asked. Of course. We sat at the kitchen table, the same spot where I'd canceled her vacation. She glanced around, maybe realizing for the first time how small and ordinary my house really was, maybe realizing how long she'd taken it for granted. I messed up, she started, voice shaky. I thought I could plan things better. I didn't mean to leave you out, Mom. Noah's mom just... She made it sound like it would be awkward, having everyone there. Awkward? I asked softly. Because I'm old? Or because I still pay for everything? She winced. That's not what I meant. I know, I said. But it's what happened. She looked down at her hands, twisting her ring. When the hotel turned us away. I thought, you did it to punish me. I didn't, I said. I did it to stop letting you treat me like an afterthought. You told me the trip was canceled, so I made it true. Tears welled in her eyes. I was wrong, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have lied. I nodded slowly. Apology accepted. But Lydia, it's not just about the trip. It's about the pattern. You ask, I give, you mess up, I fix. Somewhere along the way, I stopped being your mother and started being your backup plan. She looked at me, startled. That's not fair. It's honest, I said, and I think you're strong enough to hear it. For a while, neither of us spoke. The sound of rain began tapping against the window, typical Seattle timing. I watched her shoulders shake, the guilt settling in. Finally, she whispered, when you canceled everything, I was angry. But then I realized I've been doing that to you for years. Canceling your peace every time I wanted something? That sentence landed heavy, but it was the first real thing she'd said in years. I reached across the table, placing my hand over hers. I don't want distance between us, Lydia. I just want balance. I want to help you when it matters, not when it's convenient. She nodded, tears spilling over. I understand. And I want you to live your own life, truly live it. Learn to stand up without a net beneath you. It's the only way you'll stop resenting the person holding it. Her lips trembled. You really went to Greece? I smiled faintly. I did. How was it? Peaceful, I said, and quiet in the best way. Something softened in her face. I'm glad. You deserved that. We sat there for a long while, saying nothing. The kind of silence that isn't empty anymore. Before she left, she hugged me, not the quick, distracted kind, but the long, heavy kind, like an apology pressed into skin. "Thank you for not giving up on me," she said. "I didn't," I whispered. "I just stopped rescuing you." When the door closed, I exhaled a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. The house felt different now, lighter, quieter, but full in a new way. Later that night, I made myself tea and sat by the window. Outside, the streetlights blurred through the rain, and somewhere in the background, I heard laughter from a neighbor's porch. Life was moving again. My phone buzzed once. A photo from Lydia. She and Noah were at a small cafe, smiling. The caption read, "Paid for it ourselves." I laughed softly, shaking my head. Maybe she'd finally understood. I took a sip of my tea, warm and steady, and whispered to the empty room. Maybe we both did. For the first time, it didn't feel like a victory or revenge. It felt like release, clean, quiet, overdue. I stood, turned off the lights, and went to bed. Not as a mother who'd lost something, but as a woman who'd finally gotten herself back. A few weeks passed before I saw Lydia again. Life had returned to its usual rhythm: coffee at 7, news on low volume, the quiet comfort of knowing that no one expected anything from me that day. Yet, something had shifted. The silence in my house wasn't heavy anymore. It was space, earned, chosen, and finally mine. One Saturday morning, Lydia stopped by with a small bouquet of daisies. The gesture itself nearly undid me. She'd never been the flower type. I met her at the door, surprised, and she gave me that awkward smile she used to have as a child when she wasn't sure if she'd done enough. "They reminded me of your garden," she said. I took them gently. "They're beautiful. Honey." We didn't talk about the trip or the fight, not directly. But every small thing she did, washing her own cup, asking if I needed anything, was her way of saying she remembered. Actions, not apologies, are what make things right in the end. Later, while she sat on the couch scrolling through her phone, she laughed quietly. "Noah and I are planning a new trip, just us this time." "That sounds nice," I said. "Where to?" "Somewhere small, maybe Vermont in the fall. We'll pay for it. Of course." The way she said that last part, soft, proud, made me smile. Growth rarely happens with fireworks. It happens in the pauses between sentences, in the quiet choices no one claps for. When she left that afternoon, I placed the daisies in a glass jar and set them by the window. Their stems leaned toward the sunlight, stubborn and alive. I suppose that's what we both were now, bent, but still growing. That evening, I poured myself a glass of wine and stepped out onto the porch. The air smelled like wet cedar and distant rain. Across the street, a family was unloading groceries, their laughter spilling into the dusk. For the first time in a long while, I didn't feel outside of anything. I was simply in my life, fully, quietly, gratefully. People think revenge is loud, shouting, slamming doors, grand gestures. They're wrong. The best revenge, if you can even call it that, is peace. It's the kind that doesn't need witnesses, the kind that doesn't leave a mess behind. Sometimes, loving someone means teaching them what love isn't. It isn't rescuing. It isn't giving until you disappear. It's letting them stumble, watching them learn that consequence isn't cruelty. I used to think motherhood meant sacrifice. Now I know it means evolution. You love, you give, you teach, and then, one day, you step back and let the lesson take root. As the sun sank lower, I thought of Santorini again, the way the sea had looked at dusk, endless and forgiving. I remembered sitting there, whispering to myself that I wasn't running away. I was walking home, to the woman I'd left behind somewhere between Lydia's first heartbreak and her first credit card bill. I raised my glass again, like I had that night before the trip unraveled, and murmured the same words. To boundaries, I said. The wind caught the sound and carried it somewhere beyond the porch, maybe into the trees, maybe into the kind of quiet that listens. Either way, it felt heard. Inside. My phone buzzed once, another text from Lydia. A photo this time. Her and Noah smiling under a canopy of autumn leaves. The caption read, "You were right. Mom, balance feels good." I smiled, set the phone down, and let the quiet fill the room again. Not the silence of distance, the silence of peace. And in that stillness, I finally understood something I'd been too busy to see all these years. I hadn't lost my daughter. I just found myself. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy these family drama and revenge stories, please subscribe and join me for more every day.